a save system. Save system in a perfect yet. A little bit of a character select. I mean, a shitty character select, but character select. We can see our save files. We can delete save files. We can make new save files. Said we'll get into the auto save stuff in another one. But anywho, this is a Patreon requested video, stuff on EasySave. So I will do probably a few more videos with EasySave. We'll play around and make some stuff with it. But anywho, that is our EasySave video. We're going to do a Playmaker, and we're going to try to do a save slot system. Save systems will essentially mess you up. Most people, I find, save systems are kind of this mysterious thing, and they're confusing, so we always figure, oh well, I ain't gonna do it, I'll build my game first and then I'll go back and we'll just implement some sort of save system. Thing is, save systems, you need to structure your game with your save system. So that's what we're gonna do. So I built a little UI in a scene. Doesn't do anything, there's no logic other than those fading in, that doesn't count. So we want a slot system to start with. So I have a canvas, and I like to throw all my UI logic on one spot, personally. I don't know if that's just me. So I like to use the button array because I just find it cool. Alright, so I have a few different buttons here and a few different things, and I'll show you what they are. So we have a new game, and we have a load game. We have a start game. So we have start, load, new, and I think that's it. I mean, I should have more. I should have a cancel and options and fun stuff like that, but I'm not worried about that. So we have three more or less things that can happen. Load, start, new. So if we hit new, what do we want to happen? I want these buttons to deactivate, and I want this guy to activate. Once they have activated, and we'll see what that looks like in a second, from here all I want to do is, well, I guess I'm just going to actually go back technically. We've just kind of swapped screens. Now that gives us the ability to run our start button, and if we hit the start button, what I want to do is get our input field text of our input field, and our input text, once we get that, we're gonna, it's my daughter, my youngest one. So we're gonna get our input field. We want to start the game. We don't want to start the game yet. We need to do some settings. So I also have a slider here, and this slider is super piss poor. And I've marked it 0 to 1 and whole value, so it can only be those two values. So we want to get the text, but we also want to get that slider value, and that's going to be my poor man's character selection. All right, obviously it's not a good character selection, but it'll work. It'll demonstrate the purpose of this. So there's our slider value. We have our input text, and we need to more or less say, okay, if this is going to be our game, then we need to store some of these. Now I could just set those variables straight into into a global string, and normally that's probably what I would have done, right? Like just say, hey, this is a global. But I wanted just to split that more or less for the demonstrational purposes. So we're gonna use whatever we type in there as our save slot, right? And I'm just gonna, so we're just kind of transferring it over. Like I said, normally you could just pull it off of here and call it good and not use this action at all, but hopefully that makes it more clear for you. So the other thing is we need to develop a key for our character select. So I want to save. And I want this at the bottom. And the key is, we'll call it character select. The value will be our character. I'm going to tick this override defaults on. See the path? This is our save file. If you don't know how saving works in the ways of keys and paths, so this file doesn't exist, and what EasySave will do is if the file doesn't exist, it's going to create it. If it does exist, it'll just use it. So you have a file, and in that file you have just space, more or less, and you can put keys in there. Keys are just a way to identify data, right? So I'm creating a key called character select, and I'm saying that it's going to be this value, which is a float. Now beyond that, I don't care what we do with it at that point in time. It's just we're putting a character select key with the value of that float into a file. But the file we're going to use is going to be our input text, or you can use our global as well, right? Either or, it's going to be the same thing. Now with any EasySave actions, you're going to find they have this error event. It's good practice to make sure that's filled out, and ultimately if something goes wrong error wise for something, if you don't have it, it'll actually pop up a red error saying blah blah blah, something happened, yada yada yada, your game pauses kind of idea, big bad red error. If you have the fail event, it just fails and it goes that event and you don't get the error. You'll still get this message come up, and I think you can read it on your debug, but it won't be a red error anymore, right? So we're going to save that. Now once we've saved that, I want to load a scene. So move this to the bottom, and we're going to use scene index 1. Right, I have two scenes. I got a little miniature play scene I made, and we'll see that, and we have scene 0, which is this one. Make sure if you're using any of that kind of stuff that you put them in here, right? You can add your open scenes there. So we have scene 0 and scene 1, and that's it. So the other thing is, what if we hit the load button? Well, what we need, and I've already made one, it also has no logic, but here is, okay, so here's my load games. It's just a panel on the side, and I've got a marker here that's a vertical layout group, and if I take this prefab and just drop it on there, you'll see it kind of sits there, and I could, if I duplicate it, it just goes down. Perfect. But all it is just a thing. No logic on it. It's just more or less a button with another button inside. So what we want to do is we want to go into EasySave and we want to get the files, and that's going to give us an array. We don't need that this time, so we can bring that fail event in just in case something goes wrong. And I'm also going to put a finished event on it, so if it doesn't go wrong. And then all we want to do is array get next, and we want to go through the files and current file, and it's going to give us a string value. So let's add our loop and done. And if we loop, or when we loop, I should say, we want to create our load file, and we want to create it under that object. And then we want to get child of our loaded file. We know the child's name is text, so this is our loaded file text. And then we want to set text. So on the loaded file text, we're going to set the text to the current file. And then we're just going to go over there. And then when we are done, let's just go to an idle state. Right? So ideally, what happens on this loaded file when we have a whole bunch of those? Well, let's put a little bit of logic on this, on these buttons. So we have, we're going to have another button array. We only got 2 buttons this time, but we have ourselves. We'll call it load, and then we've got this button, which I've named delete. Alright, so we have load, delete. So if we delete, we want to UI get text. We're going to get the text of this guy. And we want to delete that file. And then we can destroy ourselves. And if we load, again, we need the text, and we're going to set a string value, the save slot, to whatever that text says, and load our scene. Make sure it's at the bottom. And that's it. So we save. Right, so okay, let's deactivate him again. And let's just test this. So we have our two characters, so you'll see them. We go through, if I hit load, apparently nothing happens. Oh, apparently I never activated that. So we need to make sure we do that. So we hit load. And we do, yeah, we want to get files, but we want to deactivate our buttons, and we want to load or activate our loading list object. Right, so we hit load and we get this. Right, so these are for me recording this numerous times. I'm just going to delete all those. So that's what that looks like. And if we go new, we get this guy, and now we can have, we'll call it broken, and I can hit start, and we load into our scene. Nothing happens yet, but this is our little scene. Alright, so let's go into our little scene right after I double check some things here. So we hit start. So we got our slider value. We have character select. And that's it. I'm going to copy that, because spelling is super important on this stuff. So let's go to our little scene. Right? So this is our little scene. I'm going to just really quickly make a manager. So I don't want to mess up my copy and paste. I'm just going to stick that there just so I don't lose it. Wow, we're not going to keep that as a... Actually, I think it does need to be a float anyways. So anyway, so here we have a rabbit. And the rabbit doesn't do anything. They're literally absolutely nothing special. These could be treasure chests. They have a tiny bit of logic on them, where if I kill them, they broadcast out an event called point, and they destroy themselves. So the other thing is I can grab a player, and I can stuff him here. Yes, it's a spider. If you're scared of spiders, I don't care. And where is our camera? Okay, so we gotta fix that. So on my camera, we're looking for our global player. So that's one of the things. I was on my player in one of their FSMs at their start. They declare themselves as a global variable, like that, or they should. I was wiping out variables and I probably screwed something up. Alright, so if we go into our camera, oh, okay, yeah, okay, well we got to do that on our camera too. Follow the player. So, you know, on my camera, I have it so it's, if we have a player, we set it into our camera system to follow, and if we lose the player, we just go back over here. To which I could add more logic to it. But yeah, so there's our little spider, and our spider will look around, and I could, you know, walk him around. Now if I hit the mouse button, he does this little attack, and I hit a rabbit, the rabbit dies, and I get a point. That is our game. That's it. That's all of it. So we want to run a save system on this. So I'm going to delete our player. So we want the player to be made by our manager. So what is this thing? This must have been something else. Oh, that was from Discord. Let's get rid of that. So I also made an object here called start. It's just an empty sitting here. There's our manager. So on start, he needs to do something, right? So I'm going to actually do a next frame event. So I want to make sure everything has all of their globals are filled and everything's good. So I want to wait that one frame. In this frame, we want to load. Oh, not load scene. We just want load. Right? So, what do we need? Ultimately, we need a player. Right? Like that. Key player. Actually, you know what? I should probably do a load all. Load all player. And we want our global save slot. Now, we need a fail event. Imagine we haven't made a player. There is no player key. So that is going to fail. Or it should fail on purpose. If it doesn't fail, well then we have a player. We can do something completely else because obviously we have something. If it fails, we're in a new game. Right? And this is a load game. So if we're in a new game, what do we need to do? We need to load that thing. And we need to store it into, well, character select. That works fine. And we want to use our same save slot. And we're going to have a fail. So if we fail, we're just going to use a default value. If it works, then we need to create one of our characters. And we have two characters. We have a big spider and a normal spider. So we have our character select and we're going to load it into our character select. Then over here we're going to array get. We're going to choose a character and we're going to convert. We're going to use our character select. And then we want to create our selected character at our spawn point. Just like that. So let's just give that a quick little test. We'll first test it from this scene. So it should fail. Right, so we failed. We don't have the default stuff here yet. So yeah, if it fails, I guess we can just go there. Right. You could literally just use the same event. Right, so there's our default player. We're at the start. We have not done anything. We can go kill rabbits with our default player. Okay, so once we have our default player we've created, we might as well do a save. and we can save player. Now, what's in player? Well, we'll find out. So, like I said, now it'll go through and everything will fail, right? Because we're in the failed state. Oh yeah, we don't have a slot here. Alright, let's... You can also go up to EasySave and, well, you can add a manager to the scene. We'll deal with that one later. I'm going to clear all our data in the save. Make sure it's empty. Right, so let's hit play from here so we can actually create a scene. So it's a new game. We'll call it broken, right? We can select whichever guy, and let's go with number 2 or number 1, and we have a different character this time. Right, so we now have, see, it finished. It didn't go to the fail state, right? So we went through, we tried to load the player doesn't exist, and it says save slots broken. Well, it fails. It says, okay, well, I guess we're doing a new game. What is the character select value? It is 1. So it says, okay, we come over here and we convert it and we get it, and we create our player. Right? So now we could have variables in here because we're using it from the save all, and set our positions and do whatever we need to do if need be. But anywho, we have that. Okay. Cool. Menu. And by menu, I meant placing. So the other thing we're going to need is, what if we do have a save? So one thing is, let's make a vector. And that could, I guess I could have called it player position or something, right? So that will now be part of that save, right? We have the save. The other thing we'll need is, say, a score. All right, and what else do we need? We should probably get owner and store ourselves into a manager, so other things can find us easy for references. Now, if we've loaded a game, so we're loading the player, so technically we should have a score and a position. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to have an array list proxy. We're going to call it Delegates. And I want to send event to game objects. So anything that is enter this list, we want to send the event load. And we can exclude self. I don't know why that's doing that. Alright, whatever. Maybe that won't cause an issue. Maybe it will. Alright, so we're going to tell everything in this list to load. And then after we've loaded, we are going to, essentially, we don't need to do this guy because he's actually part of this. So that will get saved in with the character. But we do need to recreate this state. Let's actually just go like that. So we need to go there and we need to create them at the position. We don't actually need to save though anymore. And fail and finish. Sure. Alright. So now we'll contain our position, our score, who we are in this FSM. So if we look at things like our canvas, for example, this score thing, get rid of that, I don't need it. And we have, if we get the event point, we set text to score. I don't know why I got it like that, it's weird. And what we need to do is, I'm going to do a next frame event in this guy to give our manager to make sure he's got time to store himself into a manager. And then I want to get self, get owner, I meant. And array we want to add ourselves to the manager and we're make sure that's above there. So we get ourselves as a reference and we're adding ourselves to this list. So if he says save and load, this guy can communicate if need be. So that's pretty much all he needs to do. So if we load, alright, we need to get the score. That's from the manager. So on load, if he gets the event load, he's going to get the score, and then he is just going to come down here and set the text. And if he gets the event save, then he's going to set that same value. Just like that. Alright, so there is him. So let's make sure this is in order, right? Because here, I don't think we've done, well, we don't have the save yet, do we? So we've loaded the game. So this thing tells everything to go. But we'll have the data because we get it up here first. Alright. So let's, you know what? Let's do one more. same idea. We're going to make our manager here, do a little next frame, get owner, and array list add. Spelling's super important. Don't mess that up, or it will not work. We're going to add. The other thing we want to do, we'll just use another state for it, is these have a tag rabbit. Perfect. Array list get find. There. Let's find all our objects. AI tag rabbit. Cool. And we also need the load save So EasySave has array listing support, but you need to go to the ecosystem. You have to have ArrayMaker to start off with. But if you actually look up ArrayMaker, there's ArrayMaker EasySave 3, and you get some nice cool actions here. So we can save, and let's again use these guys. So we have a fail, which can just come down here. Beyond that, we're going to use our same slot. We don't want to change our slot. And the key can be AI. Sure. So you can make the key anything you want. Alright, yeah, you can go join him. And let's make sure he is set to the save slot. There we go. So, perfect. Let's give a quick little test. So, like I said, we can choose any character, big guy or little guy. We can go new. Let's call it Broken 2. And there is this. And we should now have, in our manager, we have our canvas and we have our AI manager. Right, in the canvas, we should tell everything, I guess, to save right at the beginning, so we do it on the other ones. Right. So let's do that. But it is so far working just fine. So in our manager, in our original manager, when we're over here and it's a new game, we want to, okay, we have loaded that, and it's going to fail, or it's a new game. So here we need to send a save. We need this same action, only not load, instead save. Okay, cool. So that's one thing. Now I've also built a menu system. And again, there's no logic on this. So all we're going to do is add an FSM. And it's going to be a button array because we have those 3 buttons. And I think this one's save. Yeah, so save. This one should be load. Meaning this one is quit. Right? And depending on however, and like I said, you could, there's various things you can do for this. Like I'm not going to bother saving on quit. I mean, you could run a save and then quit. That's fine. So if we're going to load, what do you think we got to do? We need to tell this guy he needs to load. So let's go. Well, I'm going to make 2 other events because just case this global thing, I don't want to mess that up. Let's just call it manager load, manager save. Let's grab those 2. Alright, so come over to our canvas. So if we have hit the load, then let's tell our manager to load, which we can also use a global right there. And we can might as well just go back there. And if we save, same idea, but let's use manager save. There we go. So we also don't want this in the start state. We want a start state over here, and we actually want to get key down. You can use any key. I'll just use space because it's easy to hit. We're going to hit a pause. We're going to come over here and we're going to bool test. This is just kind of a safer way to do a menu, I think. Is paused. And that bool, I'm going to default it to true. So we have true and false. Actually, no, I want to default it to false. Yeah. So if it's false, set bool value is paused to true. And let's scale time to 0. And let's activate our menu. And head back. Oh, you know what? I should have put this over here. That would have made more sense. Putting this in one spot. Right, because if we hit pause, we can go over here. So we now go back over here. And if it's true, let's just copy this guy. Only we'll do the opposite. Time goes to 1, pause goes false, menu goes away. There we go. So now let's take him away and save and open to the menu. So let's just run the whole thing again. Let's go new game. Call it Broken 3, 2, I don't know. Let's just go with the big guy this time. Alright. So now let's go over and kill a rabbit. And now let's hit spacebar. Actually, let's go stand somewhere a little different. In between these trees, that sounds good. Hit spacebar. And apparently we missed something in the logic. Oh. Didn't mean to deactivate the whole bloody thing. There we go. So we can save. Actually, let's. Alright, so you hit it and it's. See how the game is paused, and I can hit save. It'll save. I can unpause it. If I come over here, we should have, if I load, apparently nothing happens. Oh yeah, we don't have that part on the other piece of logic. But let's check these guys. So we're at 2. If I load, I don't know. We'll have to check that out. Let's actually do that right now. And you know, that's we never did any of that. So obviously nothing's going to happen because he sends manager save, and that's literally all it's doing. I totally didn't link the rest of that up, so that was disappointing. Anyway, so let's check our quit. There we go. Look at that. It works. Alright. Back to our PlayScene. Save all that crap. So, in the manager, we're going to change these to manager save and manager load. Alright. So, what do we do with save? Well, we have. We're going to run this same logic here, and we can have a fail, and we can have it done, and they might as well both go down here, because we can tell the rest of them to save. And if we're going to load, loading's a little different, right? Because now we want to load. Whoops, no. That's save all. Yeah, we want load all. So we're loading all for the player. Don't care about the globals. Into, we're going to use our save slot. We have a fail. We have a finish. So once we have loaded, we essentially load game. We kind of do the same thing as what it is over here, right? Because at the position, that's all normal. In fact, we can almost literally just drag our thing right over there. Actually, yeah, you know what? That sounds like a beautiful idea. Let's just pull him out and load, and just tack him on right there. The rest of the logic's already done, right? Because we have to create our player. Well, first we have to load the data, tell everything else to load, and create our player at our position. That's it. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Menu. And play. So real quick, let's just take a look at these. I'm going to delete those. let's go new. Broken. I like the little guy better. I think it looks cooler. We come along and I can say kill a rabbit. Ba-doop. He is now deleted, and we can. Oh, you know what? God damn it! Oh, you guys should have told me about that. We don't want him deactivated. We do want the menu deactivated. And let's. Alright, so let's load our game. Load broken. And there's an issue there. So let's we'll figure that out in a second. So there's broken 2. We kill a rabbit. We hit space. Game kind of freezes. We get our thing. We hit save. We unpause it. I come along and I kill this rabbit. Ah. Now we have 2 points. I load, and our point went down. Our position never changed. But there almost seemed like there was a bit of an issue there. Anyways, send event load. Yeah, see. The other thing is we should probably destroy our player too. But said these things never get the fire because he's sitting here stuck in this. Said that's, to me, I just find that weird that he's there. Let's fix that real quick. What is going on here? Save. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm not trusting this thing right now. Right, because that's this guy. I wonder if I can send event string. I wonder if that would be a little better than this. Okay, so the event target is reference. That's just a weird one. I don't quite understand that one. So we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. Array list. Get next. And we're just going to loop through. Do it the old-fashioned way. So this is the current delegate. And we are going to send event to the current delegate, which is probably just FSM. The other thing is you have to keep all these FSMs on these things the same to save. Come back over here and done. Technically we can copy those, paste it over here, because this guy here is weird, so we're going to bypass him And when he's done, you can actually go over there. There we go. And we want load on this side. There we go. Let's see if that's a little healthier than sitting there doing nothing, idle in one stupid state for no frickin' reason. But, you know, never know. Alright, let's go new. Uh-oh. Do we already have a broken? Gotta go broken 3. You can put in logic to test all that stuff. That was weird. So we pause, we save, we unpause.
They won't leave me alone. What am I gonna do? They keep trying to spit on me.
Alright, so if I now load, we're not setting our position. Oh yeah, there we are. Keep forgetting, we have to destroy ourselves on the load. So we should probably fix that up. Because we're recreating ourselves, right? So into our manager. So we're loading, so we're going to load all, which is fine. And we're going to tell those things to all fly at it, and then we do this. So I think during somewhere in here, let's go like this. Let's do it is null, because this, if it's a new game, you won't have a player. Okay, so let's put in it is null and is not null. Because if it's, like I said, if it's a new game, there won't be a player. So if it's null, let's just continue. If it's not null, then let's destroy them. And then go. So we killed a rabbit. We gotta reset that score. I don't know why that is doing that. We didn't make that a global, did we? Alright, so we save. And let's walk over here. Load. Oh, we have an issue. Our player's in the right spot. Our camera. We should almost tell this camera system that we're loading. Right, but I mean, see how we're back over there though? Which is the camera system's not following us. And while I'm at it, I'm going to delete that data. So let's do right. guess we can just add the load right here. I'm going to do this next frame event. And now we're just going to add our camera to our to this list. Okay, it's kind of nice dealing with lists like this that you just add objects, take objects away as needed. Don't have to worry about it. There we go. So now when he loads, it will come back here. You know, I almost want to do an X frame on it though. Alright, let's see. The other thing we got to look at is that score. So we are going to say, you know, let's new game. There's our thing. We're all fresh. We've got 1 point. And we can save. Keep hitting the escape key. Kill a rabbit. Walk over by this tree and hit load. We're back at 1. And our camera's still not. Our camera is being silly. But you see, like, we have 3 rabbits there. See them, apparently. They're magical. So just a few more little things. I think I'm going to put a tiny weight here instead of the next frame. Give that camera some. So let's. So one of the things that we could do with that, I believe, is if I right click and I actually say enable EasySave for this prefab, we get stuff for it. And I just want to refresh so that it has that prefab. Right, because if I go into the prefabs, I can see it's going to save, right, like we could save, if it's at FSM, it's transform. I don't know if you actually need any of those, but probably not. But we will see. Alright, so we've killed 1 rabbit. We save. We killed that. that rabbit. So load. Ignite. Alright, so there's 2 rabbits there, 3 rabbits there. I think that worked. Alright, so if I kill these 2 rabbits, which I said, they're all it is just an object, and that could be a bool or something. I load, and there's those 2 rabbits again. They are back, so it's working just fine. So there is kind of a bunch of information on saving. Now with that said, there is an autosave, and maybe I'll do another video on just the autosaving alone, but I did alter the action, because normally the autosave typically goes in a cache, and I'll show you what the action looks like. Because ultimately, I mean, let's see, I might do just a video on it, but if you put these things here on things, you don't have to tell these things to autosave. You can tell one object to autosave. And once one object calls autosave, everything that's in the scene that has that autosave component will save itself. Right? So the only issue I find with the autosave and the autosave load is you can't control the path. So you can it's only one path to it. Which I guess is fine in some cases, but nice to have a bit of flexibility. So I altered the action just slightly so that we can use the path to it, and I'll throw that on like my on the Patreon Discord. But anyway, so there is a save system. It ain't perfect yet. A little bit of a character select. I mean, it's shitty character select, but character select. We can see our save files. We can delete save files. We can make new save files. Said we'll get into the auto save stuff in another one. But anywho, this is a Patreon requested video, stuff on EasySave. So I will do probably a few more videos with EasySave. We'll play around and make some stuff with it. But anywho, that is our EasySave video.